I'm Elena Branet, and I'm the founder of Digital Camp. And I'm really excited to be here to talk to you about empowering digital education for students and giving them the opportunity to do some action learning and having some experiences. Just a few words about me. I got involved in this space after many years in tech because I am passionate about the opportunities that tech can bring. And because my own kids in school, I didn't see that they were having that opportunity and the visibility of what's ahead. So I created a digital camp. And I'll tell you a bit more about that afterwards. So over to you.
So hi, I'm Leah Stassi. I originally joined Digital Camp as a student in Year 9. I'm now in Year 11 and I've become a Digital Camp ambassador due to how inspired I've become by the program.
And I'm Hugh, I'm the founder of Naya, which was set up as an app to help migrants restart their careers. So we help people rebuild their network, get access to education, access to finance, so that we can get them job ready for the jobs of the future.
Great. So what we thought we'd do is something a little bit different. We're going to have each person talk about what it is that they do. So we have a few slides that we're going to present to you, and then afterwards we're going to talk and welcome any questions as we go.
We are all here today to talk about how do we educate the next generation to protect our planet. And some of the key things that have already been touched on are how do we educate people, how do we engage them, and how do we, most importantly, I think, grow the people that are going through this education so that they can go on to become influencers. And one of the things that I saw is that there's this one-way version of education, which is going out to the students to teach them things. And then what happens traditionally is the teachers try to engage them in the subject and get them more involved. But I'd like to really flip things on its head, and we can talk a little bit more about that afterward. So what's happening in Digital Camp is we started this because we see that there's this need to adapt to the new world of digital working. People are no longer going back into work after COVID, and also digital learning. How do we go back into schools? Climate change is an issue. The world is becoming more and more data-driven, and AI is completely disrupting, and there are 1 billion people that need to be upskilled by 2030. And the types of skills that we need to learn and that we need to help the next generation to learn are digital skills. They need to learn about sustainability, about leadership, critical thinking, and collaboration, which we've talked about before. And these are the skills that are not really being taught in school, and that's one of the reasons why I started the Digital Camp. So our mission is to inspire and to connect the next generation, to build these digital skills and to learn how to solve problems and how to become resilient and how to look at a challenge and to embrace that. And so we created an action learning program that goes through a digital camp, a digital academy, and a digital incubator that helps students to discover and to connect to technologies, cutting-edge technologies that they are not simply seeing in schools. What's happening in schools is you often are seeing pure ICT courses being taught. They think that it's only about programming. My daughter, for example, is a creative person. She saw a boy sitting down at a desk, his head down, and she said, "That's not me." She didn't identify with that. So I, having worked for Microsoft and for a number of tech companies, feel that there's so much more that they can learn. So I wanted to give that opportunity for students to understand how tech can help them to be creative. So we pulled together a team of people to create the Digital Camp and to break down core technologies and make it easy, make it fun for them to engage. And so what the students do is they're taught by professionals that are experts in their field to work in 1-hour workshops, and they create projects that help the planet. In the Digital Academy, they're learning the fundamentals about technologies, and they have an opportunity to go deeper and to learn about sustainability, and they're doing that with professionals, and they're giving an opportunity to these students to actually gain certificates and to do work experience as they go. And then the digital incubator is helping students to bring their ideas to life. So, for example, the students that go into the digital camp, they have an opportunity to do design thinking and come up with an idea, how can technology be used to help the planet? So, Alan, you mentioned it's all about the subject and not the technology. And I really, really strongly believe that. We're giving students the opportunity to think about how can they get creative with tech and solve a problem about climate change, and give them the opportunity to come up with their own ideas and present that to a panel of professionals and win prizes. So they have the opportunity to do that in the digital incubator, to get connected to tech and business mentors, and then to actually bring those ideas to life. So a good example of this is a student that has come through the camp and has pitched their idea to a panel of judges, has pitched that to Vodafone. Vodafone has invested £50,000 in there to help them to build a proof of concept for a kinetic energy tile that you step on to generate electricity. So students can come into the digital camp, they can know nothing about technology, they can learn about climate change and have the opportunity to work with professionals in sustainability, work with professionals in technology, learn how to apply their knowledge and come up with their own ideas for projects that are meaningful to them, and then present those back and continue working on them and actually bring them to life and start their own businesses. And that's what we want to do, is to help them to realize that. So Digital Camp, we've engaged over 1,000 people over the last couple of years, and from 36 different countries. I have personally invested in giving away many scholarships to give students this opportunity. I also partner with businesses. Interestingly, through the climate change challenges that we're giving students every year, we have about 80% female and 65% underprivileged going through the program. And we work with partners such as Vodafone, Microsoft, Oxford Saïd Business School, where I had the opportunity to meet Russia. We work with EY, Elasticloud, who are AI experts as well. And we partner with them and their professionals, their employees, to come up with workshops and technology learning programs that makes it fun to engage in tech. So we're bringing together students and professionals to build digital skills, helping businesses as well to grow valuable talent, as we're teaching them how to mentor the students as well, and also helping them to create workshops that are engaging the students. And through that process, the students are learning academic resilience, they're learning leadership, they're learning agility and flow, and the mentors that are supporting them are also becoming brand ambassadors and having a direct impact into the community. So effectively, we're helping students to become change makers, from becoming passive participants in a classroom to becoming achievers, to becoming leaders, to becoming ambassadors, and ultimately change makers by getting more and more involved in the programs that we're offering to them. From the first moment that they attend a digital camp, we're seeing more and more engagement from students that may not have ever been interested in tech. It's because we're giving them the opportunity to learn about climate change and how they can use technology to find solutions to support new experiences in the future. So typically what we do is we offer play and learn workshops, and it starts with the student. How do we connect students to their own goals? How do we give them confidence to set goals? What is a goal? What are they good at? How can they find their superpower? What does their vision look like? We're helping them to set what those visions look like. And then we connect them to these play and learn workshops, breaking down what are all the different technologies, from AI to data analytics, to flying drones, dancing with robots, having games about cybersecurity, teaching them about green technologies. And these are all taught by professionals who make it fun and we gamify the whole experience by giving them challenges throughout the day, both digitally and online. And then we're connecting the students to students all around the world from many different countries. And you'll hear from Leah later about what she's doing and how she's connected to students in different countries as well, from Asia to Africa to Lebanon and more. And we're taking them through a simplified design thinking process, so to help them to understand by actually doing the process of design thinking to come up with these solutions. And then they have a chance to build a proof of concept in the digital incubator. In the digital incubator, we take them through a process to help them to form their teams, to set goals as a team. We go deeper into design thinking, and we give them the opportunity to go deeper in building their tech skills as well in the Digital Academy. So before they actually start building any kind of project, we test them and we match them to business mentors and help them to define a very clear value proposition, to test their customer needs, to create a business model, to create a customer pitch and validate that in the marketplace. Then they build their proof of concept. They learn about a minimum viable product and data requirements and solution design and agile development, and then they have an opportunity to create a go-to-market plan and pitch it to investors, as we heard about earlier. All of this is done both digitally as well as in person. So we host hybrid events, and we've been doing this for the last 5 years. During COVID, we had completely all digital, and we didn't have any decrease in the satisfaction. So we're getting 4.8 out of 5 stars rating in terms of satisfaction in our camps. And we're also building a digital platform that accelerates the process and facilitates how students get onboarded so that we can do this in multiple countries and do it all at once at scale. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight is the challenge. The challenge is something that we do every year at every camp, and it's something that we did together with the Oxford Saïd Business School this last summer. And so what we do is, as we're going through the camp, we give the students this challenge. How can you use technology to help the planet? And then we connect them to these mentors. And they present their ideas and pitch them. And this is something that I feel that we can do together, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a moment. But I'd like to hand you over to Leah at the moment.
Hi, I'm Leah Stassi. I'm in Year 11, and I'd like to talk to you about my experience of Digital Camp. So the beginning of my journey started in July 2022 when I got a scholarship to Digital Camp. This is my original team, and we won our competition and went on to the incubator. And as you can tell, I've loved the experience with Digital Camp so much that I've stuck around till this time, and I'm looking forward to the many more opportunities I'll experience. So our project is to incentivize recycling for the younger generation, whilst also spreading awareness of the global failures of the recycling system. And here's a video which I created, which should hopefully explain to you that in more detail. We are literally a group of like-minded individuals with the intention of reducing air pollution by incentivizing recycling for the younger generation. Our group consists of 5 people.
Hi, my name is Ishmi.
My name is Pratisha.
My name is Yashwaj.
My name is Lewis.
My name is Leah.
Air pollution is a worldwide issue which not only affects the environment but our own health. One of the factors which contributes to air pollution is landfill waste, which is responsible for about 11% of global methane emissions. Unfortunately, this is expected to increase to about 70% by 2050, according to the World Bank. Currently, of the 26 million tonnes of waste produced in the UK, 12 million tonnes are recycled and 14 million tonnes are sent to landfill sites. This statistic is very disappointing given the current severity of climate change.
From our own personal experiences and those of our friends at school, it is evident that recycling is not adopted by many teenagers simply due to a lack of awareness of what is recyclable. and therefore we were eager to create a communal solution to this widespread issue.
Within previous years, the residents of Musafanagar have had to deal with the illegal transportation of North American recycling and suffer the detrimental consequences which impact their daily lives. The illegal dumping of recyclables from North America has resulted in the burning of bulk, low-quality materials at the paper mills within the city. These paper mills are not equipped with the sufficient filtration systems to capture the release of toxic emissions produced, hence having tremendous repercussions on the health of residents nearby. Our solution, literally, is an app which incentivizes recycling for people aged 11 to 17 years old through gamification. Through creating this app, not only do we hope to improve the mindsets of teenagers with regards to recycling, but also to educate and spread awareness of the corruption within the global recycling system, encouraging the United Nations and other international recycling organizations to effectively deal with this problem.
Literally works by displaying the product's disposal data using an API to show users how to effectively recycle the product. This data is then stored in a personal journal for future use, and the users earn game currency with which they can compete with their friends. We also plan to include a page including news regarding progress being made in making the recycling process more transparent.
In the short term, we aim to contract or choose an API service by the end of this year, so that we can move into production. In the future, when integrated VR becomes more widespread, we hope to adapt the app so it's compatible with the devices, making it more convenient for users to recycle, as they will not have to take it out their phone to see disposal data.
To conclude, we believe strongly that an app like Literally is vital in becoming more conscious about our limited resources. Together, recycle better.
Thank you for watching. So, my learning with Digital Camp. I've learned a wide variety of skills since joining, one of which is creative thinking, especially when it comes to narrowing down to what we want to solve in terms of climate change. Decomposition, when we joined the incubator, we learned how to develop our product step by step, including economic viability. Confidence, before I wouldn't have imagined talking on here or becoming a panelist, so that's definitely one thing I'll take into the future. Patience and perseverance. So initially, our idea was very different to this. We had planned on making a self-sorting bin which used AI recognition in order to figure out what can be recycled and not recycled on the spot so that you wouldn't have to transport it externally to get sorted. After I arranged an interview with one of the members of Camden Council who worked in the recycling department, he said, whilst the idea of a self-sorting bin wasn't the most viable economically, he said the idea of gamification was not done before, and he thought that there was a lot of potential within the idea. Leadership skills, so as you could see on the previous slide, the people in my team were around the ages of 17 to 18. At the time when we first started, I was 14 years old. So that really encouraged me to realize that you might not be the oldest person in the room, but you can sometimes have better ideas, or you know what I mean. Collaborative thinking, an open-minded attitude, assertiveness and determination. As well as this, I've learned networking, video editing, marketing, public speaking, and I've learned how to use Figma, which is a prototyping application. So how has Digital Camp impacted me externally? One of the opportunities which I had last year was to attend Capacity Europe 2023, where I got to practice my networking skills. Whilst I was there, I got to meet one of the representatives of STC Telecommunications, one of the biggest telecommunications industries in the Middle East, and he was happy by my aura, I suppose, and he invited me to the headquarters should I ever visit Saudi Arabia. I also got to meet Caroline Criado Perez, the author of Invisible Woman and advocate for women in STEM, and she further reinforced me into pursuing a career in STEM. Digital Camp has also taught me how to take a proactive attitude, not only in terms of sustainability, but also within my local community. I started volunteering in January 2023, and I've been continuing it up to this point. I've also learned how to raise awareness of climate change within my school community. I was able to form a partnership between my school and Digital Camp. I've given talks at my school about Digital Camp and advocating for climate action through sustainable development, and I'm also one of the writers for my school newsletter, where I continue to emphasize the need for urgency. As of recently, I took part in the JP Morgan Generation Tech competition, where I was able to put all these skills I learned previously into practice. Whilst I was there, I designed an idea, which was an app leveraging AI technology to monitor both mental and physical wellness. This app aimed to help help areas of doctor scarcity. So the app would be linked to doctor databases, and the patients could enter their symptoms onto the AI. It would then record trends in their behavior and then send notifications to the doctors so they know who to prioritize most. And I'd like to reinforce that this was only possible due to the skills which I'd already developed through Digital Camp, and so yeah, I'm very grateful for that. And yeah, reinforcing it one more time, had it not been for the Digital Camp and the incubator, I never would have been able to develop my skills up to where I am now, and you've definitely set me on track for my STEM journey, and I look forward to where I end up in the future. Thank you very much, and if you have any questions, please do come to me.
Thank you, Leah. You are so inspiring. It's been great to see your journey so far. There is another change maker that I'd like you to meet. She couldn't be here today, so meet Diksha.
Some level of. My name is Diksha. I'm in year 13. I go to Woodford County High School and I study maths, further maths, physics and computer science at A level. So our project is called Just Walk, and it's a project based on extracting data from kinetic tiles, and kinetic tiles are electromechanical tiles which generate electricity when you walk on them. There was an ideas hackathon and our team ended up winning the hackathon. And what truly made us believe that we properly had something in this project was realizing that so many other industry professionals actually believed in what we were doing. In the Ideas Hackathon, we had a mentor within each of our teams, and talking to that mentor and being able to bounce ideas off of him was absolutely great. Those things especially made me think that, what we have here is real. This is something that we can actually develop and actually bring to life, even if we are not even adults yet. What we've achieved so far is absolutely incredible. We've managed to put our solution into a shopping center scenario. We've been able to extract analytics from that and portray it onto a real-time analytics dashboard. My confidence skills have incredibly grown. We've pitched this project to people who have already set up their own companies. We've pitched it up to CEOs, and we actually had been talking to a representative for Vodafone. He said to us that, he loved our project. We've gained £60,000 worth of funding to actually get the tiles and put them in as well. I feel absolutely amazing. I think when I told Elena, we were both absolutely ecstatic. I went in with no expectations, and 3 years down the line, I'm kind of looking back like, wow, I've gotten so much from this. And, it just again goes to show that you can achieve so much.
Remember he did it. I did.
What's important to note is also not just what she's achieved, but also that she's not alone. And it's not only in the UK that we do this. We are connecting students from 36 different countries, and they are learning online. And they are connecting and they are forming teams with other students from other cultures. And they do all of this through the platform. Leah, you're working with another 13-year-old in Turkey, and they have been a team for a couple of years now. And it's just so wonderful to see the friendships that grow from these students and how they are solving problems together and reaching across the continent or over the oceans to do this, and putting together their heads and learning from professionals who volunteer their time to support these students and their amazing ideas. We worked with a number of students in Lebanon who were having intermittent electricity issues, and we're not even able to connect fully to the internet to participate in some of the courses that we were delivering. Mike was there and knows when he was delivering his UX design course to these students, they were coming in and out, but they were resilient and they kept coming back, and they stayed online all day long and into the evening, and they were emailing us and messaging us, what did we miss? You know, sorry we couldn't do this part, but we really want to do it. And we record everything and we deliver it live with mentors who are super passionate about what they do, want to share their skills. And this is something that I've found is totally scalable, is there are so many people who have amazing skills that want to share what they do and make it simple for others to learn. And this is what we know how to do, is to bring people together, to connect them, and to help students to realize their projects. So, I want to talk about as well a proposal. I would really love for us to not just discuss and debate what we can do, but how do we actually work together? And so this is something that I would love to discuss further with you, is we have an idea, and I want to share this with you all. It's what can we do to create a challenge together for the students all around the world, and to do that in partnership with the zoo and with Microuniversity. How could we all bring our talents together and join hands and do something like this together? And I would propose that we don't have to wait. We could do this now if we want to. It's not hard. We've done it. We can bring people together, and we can do it immediately if we want. So we can set a challenge, perhaps with the zoo, on a certain conservation idea, using some of the research and the experts that are available. We can create a digital education experience together with the Microuniversity in a digital camp, maybe during the April half term, and then showcase what we're doing in the May Microuniversity. We could then take the students on a journey to continue building those skills digitally across the different countries that can dial in to this process, and help them to actually build their projects, and then showcase them in the summertime, and then go on to receive work experience. So it's an opportunity I want you to think about. We would love to partner however we can with those who want to, and I think it's really, I would love to discuss this, but I want to first introduce and give Hugh an opportunity to talk about NIA.ai.
Well, I'll keep this really short, because I think that conversation that you proposed is much more important. Just as a quick pulse check, hands up if, so I often start with this concept of, is there enough? Hands up if we think there's enough jobs in the world. Is there enough jobs? Okay, interesting. So 80% of this is in Western companies, 80% of businesses cite skill gaps as their biggest risk to success, 80%. In fact, recently I read a stat that it was now 90%, but it's conservatively 80%. Now, hands up if you think there's enough workers to do the work. Slightly more. So the ILO, International Labour Organization, estimates there's 500 million people in the labour market that are being totally underutilised. So that might be your Uber driver who's got a computer science degree from Sudan, something like that. So what NIA is doing, what we see as a problem is an imbalance of labour supply and demand. We believe there's enough jobs, we believe there's enough people, but we don't believe that people are well equipped to make transitions into the jobs of today and tomorrow. And so all we do is aggregate all the information out there in the careers world that will empower and equip people to make rapid labour market transitions. So whether that's elevating Eleanor's work with digital camps so that people can get access to the type of opportunities. By the way, Leah, your presentation. When I was 15 years old, I was sat on the sofa watching reruns of the OC, not doing the stuff. Incredible, very hard to follow your presentation. But yeah, so we build technology that enables initially we worked with refugees because we saw them as an asset class, not as a problem to the skills gap, but we've started growing that. We do it for migrants, and now we're working with people from low income, people coming out of prison or out of gangs, and generating pathways so that they become not a problem for society, but the solution to a greater problem, which is the very expensive skill gap. So we're just here to be technology that can elevate the work that you guys are doing, that can help. Leah was telling me she was trying to work out what to do for her A-levels, and actually that's part of the problem, right, is if I understand what the jobs are of the future and what training is required, then it gives you a more informed decision. So that's kind of what we're here to do and be a supporter of.
Fantastic. So I would love to hear a little bit more about how do you work with partners, and how do you then deliver those work experience opportunities to students? How do they actually access them?
So we have built, it's all tech. We're just a tech business really that is like a marketplace. So kind of like how booking.com is for booking a vacation, we're similar for a career in that if you were looking to make a transition in your career and you had a target of where you wanted to get to, I think the good news is that there's a lot of amazing providers out there that can meet people's needs. So to take a most extreme example, if someone is a refugee arriving in the UK, there's a number of things that they would need to access. How do you validate your existing qualifications across borders? How do you get access to a bank account and a credit score? How do you re-qualify? If you're a lawyer and you've come to the UK, I met a woman who's a barrister in Ukraine. She's doing catering. And understandably, they have to re-qualify, but that takes time. So what jobs can you do today whilst you're retraining? How do you get the finance for that? How do you build a network? 70% of jobs that people get come from their personal network. If your network is in a different country, that doesn't help you in a new place. So, or if you've come from a low-income community in the UK and you want to become a solutions architect at Microsoft, you might not have the right network to unlock those doors. So all we're doing is aggregating the different service providers that offer that. So someone who's a refugee would then, we partner with NatWest around banking, we partner with anyone from local organizations providing training all the way up to AWS, getting certificates with Google, Microsoft, AWS, Salesforce, these kind of companies to get into tech. We partner with more kind of gig job providers to help people get access immediate employment if they need to reskill. And it's all through aggregating data, and then we use AI to generate personal career pathways, kind of like Google Maps for a career, with the kind of co-pilot advisory thing that's explaining why we're suggesting this and why it might be a good idea. So it's just trying to bring order out of chaos, or out of just present information in a really consumable fashion for a user depending on their background. So yeah, it is quite simple.
So the people that you're working with are mostly unconnected people that are already interested in tech, or are they coming from a wider range of people that are just interested in learning?
So historically we were a tech consultancy. So when I started the business, I used to work in financial services as an innovation tech consultant, and had been to visit refugee camps in Jordan and Egypt, and you don't come home unchanged from that kind of experience, the people that you meet. So I originally set it up because I wanted to hire those people remotely, qualify them with cloud-based qualifications and place them into businesses. So it was all tech, it was actually cloud and tech focused, but we've started to branch out, like I mentioned, the lawyer. We're starting to look at, we want to be a careers app for just all jobs, for the jobs of tomorrow. But the way that we access, to the question around connecting with the unconnected, is through non-profit partnerships. So someone mentioned Tent. We actually never exchanged names. What was your name? Sveta. So Sveta was mentioning an organisation called Tent, Partnership for Refugees. They have a huge network of on-the-ground charities, so we partner with them to get access to the types of users who then come to us to access that ecosystem of that marketplace of providers and the career paths.
Great. Leah, I would love to hear a little bit more about your observations of the day. How has this conversation, what sort of key things do you feel that we need to be addressing that you haven't seen, or anything else that you feel? I'd love to hear your perspective.
Thank you. I think one of the biggest things that will help, especially with this cause, is awareness. Because when I look around my classmates, so many people have this fixed mindset that there's no help, there's no solution, we can't do anything, we're just children, we have no position of power. Yet you look here and there are all these organizations and opportunities which are there to help us and to help us realize that we do have power. We can actually make change now as children and help change the world. But the issue is, when you don't get that amount of representation, you'd never know. For example, I wouldn't have known if Digital Camp existed had it not been for one of my teachers who told me about a scholarship being available. And here, it's changed my life, to be honest. It's given me so many skills, so many opportunities that I'm so grateful for. And every time I get the chance, I say, look, Digital Camp, JP Morgan, all these opportunities, I tell people, get involved. And what I do tell them, they join. The main issue is that schools and these companies need to work together so that students are better aware that they are empowered and they can do things. But yeah, and I'm very inspired by all the work that's been discussed today.
Thank you. I think you're inspiring, and it's been so nice to see how you have been evolving and building your confidence. And I can see you continuing on to be that change maker that really drives the rest of the communities forward. And that's I think the opportunity that we all have is to empower and to enable students all around the world from different communities to become change makers in their own communities. Through this kind of education. I'd love to open it up to the audience for questions or debate.
Okay, this is going to take some time. Can I unpick it in reverse order? Hugh, you reached out to me some time ago and asked me for money through LinkedIn. What you didn't do is tell me what you do. And what you do is remarkable. And I sent you back a note, which I've just copied back to you on LinkedIn just now, saying, I have no bandwidth for this. So you gave up on me without telling me the story. So my lesson to you is, not what you do, not that what you do isn't remarkable, it is. I mean, I could critique a number of things, but you have a very good focus, a very good direction of travel. What you just articulated is outstanding. But when you reach out to people, tell them a story. Don't ask them for money. That's the first point. But my compliments, young man. I want to go to Leah next. You are a superstar, young lady, and you will fulfill your potential. But there's two parts to this exercise. One is, what you've actually achieved is a learning journey for yourself. You've been empowered by this. What I'm curious about is that the project you started with, and I want you to be honest, is that a project you want to take forward, or have you learned how to build a project that you might reinvent in some future example? Do you understand my question?
Would you mind rephrasing that,
please?
please?
Okay, I will. So it wasn't particularly good English. I think you've learnt about you, and my compliments to Elena for taking on that journey. I think you have grown as a person. So you may have academic qualifications and passed exams. More or less all of us can do that. What you've done is you've actually grown as a person. You've realized your own potential, your competence, capability. You've addressed your fears. You've taken on some challenges through the exercise you have. But was it the exercise or was it you? In other words, was the project you set out to do some life mission, or was it really a journey of discovery for you personally? It's not meant to be a trick question, because I'm going to challenge Eleanor in a minute, depending on what you say next.
I think it's a mix of both, because if you don't find yourself, you'll never really figure out your purpose, if that makes sense. Like, how do I word this? Through Digital Camp, it made me realize how much I value this planet and how much I value the environment. It was the inspiration from people like Deeksha who made me realize that, oh my goodness, if I really work, and if I work with people who have similar ideas, and if we all collaborate, projects can be made and they can change the world. I think it was that inspiration, but with the support and with the knowledge of what's going on in the world, that empowered me to make this project. Is that the question you were asking?
It is, because it sort of tells me something. It tells me that your journey as an individual, your journey as a student, your, if I may say, without being disingenuous, your maturity to becoming part of society, even rather than just being at school, college, or university, has now empowered you to go out and take the next challenge in front of you, which is not just a compliment to you, it's also a compliment to Eleanor and her work, because I think that's fundamentally what Eleanor's work is all about. So can I just stop at that point, and then I'm going to attack Eleanor next, okay, if I may. So Eleanor, I think you do a remarkable job. I'm not convinced it's as well focused as I would like you to be, and let me try and explain that. If you were an academic, you would be developing a course which then would be taught in your university or your college, or in multiple universities or colleges. What you're trying to do is to carry everything on your shoulder. I think your methodology, your discipline, your intelligence and your focus is outstanding. And I think you have a much greater opportunity of driving something if it was then shared with multiple institutions and multiple schools who take your philosophy, take your experience, take your learning examples, and multiply that out to any, rather than necessarily trying to carry this on your own back for an individual group of students. And I don't want that to be in any way disingenuous or disrespectful, because I do truly admire what you've achieved.
Yeah, if I could just comment on that. It's actually, it's the way that we started, which was going direct to the students and to the families. But actually what we are doing now, and I didn't mention this, is partnering with schools, with institutions to broaden this out, and with businesses and the children of the employees that want to be part of this. So my dream actually is to work with partners everywhere to scale what we're doing through other educational institutions like the Microuniversity, like other schools, and we have created a schools partnership program, which I didn't talk about. So yeah.
Can I add to that? Yes. Adding on to what Elena said, I think one of the biggest obstacles, I think, when it comes to these sort of projects and integrating them into schools is the curriculum, because the curriculum is very set. They say you have to do all of this, all of that, all of that, and you know, if you have a day or two, go on a school trip. I think what should be done is we should alter the curriculum, as what has been previously said, to see which students prefer this type of learning, which students prefer that type of learning. That way, by making students do what they want to do, not only will they likely get it done faster, but they don't have to take part in lessons which they're not paying attention in. That frees up so much time for you to be able to take part in these courses in schools, such as the Digital Incubator, the Digital Academy, Digital Camp, and all these other opportunities. It's just, I think, what needs to be done, I don't know how we can do this, but I'm certain there's a way, is just altering the education system and seeing how tech can be further integrated. And climate change, biggest issue. Governments are aware of that, 2050 goals. It's reminding them that change starts with young people, and you need to take on these organizations who are willing to help us so that we can speed the process of recovery quicker.
And I'll just add to that the schools that I'm working with right now, I'm trying to, they really welcome this kind of a partnership to support them, to support the teachers that have no time to deliver this kind of education to their students. And it's augmenting and deepening what the children are learning in the classrooms and giving them projects as well as work experience, and doing it outside in a complementary fashion to the current school curriculum. And I was speaking with the head of computer science for Eton the other day, and he was saying this is wonderful. He has so much demand for computer science in his school, he can't fulfill it all. He wants them to have these kinds of experiences. And what I'm trying to do is work with the schools to deliver a cross-curricular program on climate change that brings together the geography teacher and the computer science teacher and the science teachers, so and the innovation club and the design and technology teacher, so that they can all work on these projects on climate change and do it, and it doesn't take extra time from them. We're supporting them with that work, and I'd love to partner with people like the chat, with Anita and with and the people in this room to see how we can do things like that together.
Perfect. Do we have any other questions at this stage? And yes, we do.
No. A question for Hugh. I was just looking at your website, and one of them was removing barriers to access. Great what you're doing, and feels like a connection point of view for people that don't know where to go. You point them in the right direction. However, I'm sure that from a governmental accreditation, there still remains those type of barriers. I don't know how big or influential your company is. What are the real barriers to entry for, if you take the example of the barrister, is there a pathway? Is there an actual pathway that they can follow to get to where they need to or want to be, just based on visas or status or etc.? How do you navigate that when it's connecting people to that access? Because I'm assuming there's barriers that you cannot circumvent.
Yeah, it's a good question. The Ukrainian example was an easier one from an asylum process because everyone was given right to work. Obviously, some people, the system is complex, and essentially you have to teach the machine learning how the system works for that machine to teach the humans how to gain the system. Because I spoke with one of our investors is based in New York, and he supports the IRC, International Rescue Committee, which is David Miliband's big organisation that he backs. And he provides financial advice to immigrants who've moved to New York. And he literally said to me, he's like, it is a game. Like, they game the system. So he's having workshops with these individuals, and he's like, it takes 4 or 5 meetings for them to understand. When I say, get out a loan for $100, and they say, I don't need $100, and I say, get out a loan for $100. Like, if you want a credit score, you have to do this. You have to play the game. And some of it is kind of, the system is a bit of a game, and you have to teach people how to play that game. We're definitely not quite at that level yet. We're focused on, our product launched in October last year, so very early stages. But I think there's scope and opportunity to be able to connect people. If you're telling the AI the first thing is, I don't have right to work, but here, this is where I am, this is my background, to have a co-pilot and an advisor that can prevent months of being sent in different directions to know what your next step looks like and what your options are, I think is hugely helpful. And the way that generally works in the UK now is you book an appointment at the job centre, which could take days. You take a couple of buses to get there, you get given some leaflets, you go home, you spend a week figuring that out, searching online, you book another appointment, 2 weeks later you go back, and it can take months and years, even after getting right to work, before people are back into meaningful employment. And our mission is to cut that to days and weeks rather than months and years.
But can I pick up on that point? Yeah. Because I've also now looked at your website, okay? And I think what you're doing is outstanding, but I think you're looking, or you need to find a differentiator. And I think that differentiator is already embedded in your AI strategy. So let me give you a take on this. I think what is really interesting is a little bit like Leah's project. Think peer-to-peer. So don't think about influencing the chief executives of FTSE 100, FTSE. Think of the community that you're engaging with. So not only helping to mentor an individual to find their way through that maze of challenges, but also share peer-to-peer. Do you want me to give an example of that?
Sure.
So in the United Kingdom, 2.5 million students go to higher education every year, which by default, 850,000 leave university or college each year. They then go off into the workforce. And universities fail to build a relationship with that 850,000 other than giving them an email address so they can ask them to donate money to the university to keep them going. But if you think about the logic of it, those 850,000 people are leaving university, they're going out into employment, they're starting a new learning journey. If they wanted resources, where better to go from their resources than back to their university where they've already got experience, where they're familiar with the halls, they're familiar with the tutors, familiar with the culture. Effectively, that's where the resources should come from, rather than Coursera or Udemy or all these other platforms. Second point is, if you think about it from a university point of view, those 850,000 people each year who go out there are building experience. Why are the universities not reaching out to that experience and bringing that experience back into the university to mentor and support the students, that ecosystem? That, my friend, I think is your business model.
Yeah, and actually we've actually piloted something really similar. So before we started building the tech, we used to run a lot of pilots with big companies, and when the Ukraine stuff broke out, we partnered with an organization in Romania so Romania was taking a big influx, and they wanted to educate women who'd been leaving Ukraine with tech skills, and then they were looking to hire the kind of top performers from the class. So we got Udacity involved, we got to provide the education, we got some NGOs involved to bring the people, and we kind of just built some really basic tech to facilitate that program. But it was putting people into these cohorts. My background in tech, I was really used to working in Scrum-based, like 7 to 8 people working intensely on a project. So we replicated that model for learning, peer-to-peer based. Udacity had the content and gave them the pathway, but they were teaching each other. And it was so powerful. And the community in the way that, and so we have a community function in the platform to try and facilitate that. But I completely agree. I think the power of peer-to-peer based learning is quite underestimated. And yeah.
We're going to get one more question, and then we're going to have a short break, and we'll be back at 10 past because we've got somebody who's going to be joining from Zoom, so we do need to set up for that. So here's the last question.
Thank you for the opportunity for a last question. I work in technology, so I'm very keen on understanding what are the top 3 areas of your roadmap that you are considering for next stages. I'm particularly interested in any cross-regional flows you may have, because matchmaking needs, I imagine you have so many parameters in your algorithm already. Can you give a little bit of a hint about what you're planning in terms of your roadmap? What are really the geeky aspects that you are trying to develop? I would be fascinated to learn about that.
For sure. And the true geek is Naya's CTO, just flew back from India last night. He was going to come, but I thought he might want a day off. So he would be better to give the real geeky stuff. But the regional aspect first I'll answer, which is we're really focused on the UK this year, just because we want to crack the market and prove it here. And then it's a very replicatable model because essentially the data models are probably different in different countries. In the US, probably different in different states as well. But once you can onboard that data, then it's just, you can pretty much plug and play anywhere. Although that said, we do have people accessing remote work through the platform. In terms of the roadmap, there's kind of three core elements to the platform. There's we build dashboards for NGOs who refer users so they can report on their impact. Then we have the marketplace in the middle, which does all the that's the really complex, the more complex bit, which is where the data models are working and the AI is looking to generate those career paths. And then we have employers using an HR product to hire. This first half of this year, we're really focused on the NGO piece because we want to build our supplies, essentially our supply of the marketplace. And we're lucky that we can also generate revenue off of that stakeholder. Then we'll launch the HR product in the latter part of this year. The marketplace, we're in ideation at the moment, so that will probably launch in the next couple of months. Our investors have advised not to look at generating revenue with the marketplace bit for some time because you want to grow critical mass and then start generating. So it's really just, once we launch that, getting as much feedback from service providers, users, as quickly as we can to really, really harness it. But yeah, and then I think scaling into new regions. Once we crack UK, we've got, as I mentioned, a couple of US investors. So I think for us, it will be looking at, I think UK is a great strategic location because we have MENA, a lot of our users are in MENA, or early users, so that's important, but the US is kind of, the market's huge there and they have the LATAM corridor, so we're already having a lot of conversations there, but it'll be probably 2026 before we launch into that region, yeah. Thanks.
Thank you so much, and I think something that you can take away, which is don't ask Alan for money. but probably ask him to mentor you or get access to his networks.
I was going to tell you that
a good.
the most interesting, probably the most interesting content I could give on a panel is a panel about failures and mistakes, and that will now go into my content.
Great learning. But can we give a big round of applause to the panelists? So thank you, Eleanor. Thank you, the superstar that is Leah, and Hugh with AI, Nia AI.